Hello Syndicate members, welcome to my new video. So today I'm gonna talk about basic arranging and orchestration. And I also put part 1 in the title, meaning I'm trying to make series of videos about arranging and orchestration. This is the first one and I'll be talking more about detailed and advanced materials as we go on in the future. So stay tuned for those if you're interested. Today I want to briefly show you how I arrange and orchestrate tracks. So let's jump right into it. For tutorial purpose, I composed very basic 8 bars with 4 chords. So these are the chords I used to compose this. Check this out. So it's really basic chord progression in C major key, which was D minor, G, C, and F. You can use whatever you want. I just chose to use this because this is really simple and it has kind of pop, feeling in it. So yeah. So before we go on, so it'll be pretty hard for you if you're making music by just ears, right? So the knowledge of basic music theory is really important, and for those who want to study more on this topic, I highly recommend that you check out these harmony books. Those are published by Berklee College of Music. There are 4 books, and just reading through the first 2 would be really, really helpful. So anyway, I chose C major key since it's the simplest, and this is a basic C major scale. Right, pretty simple. And if you make triad chords on each chord, each root, it's gonna sound like this. Right? So how do you make triad chord? You just add major third and perfect fifth on the root. So for example, C, so you add major third, which is E, then you add perfect fifth, which is G. So that completes the major triad, right? So this is pretty easy and simple topic, and if you are not really familiar with this kind of things, I really recommend you study and just look into it and see what this means and all that good stuff. So yeah, and some people ask me like, why do we need to know this, right? So you can just compose music like without knowing this. But it's because this will help you understand what kind of notes we can use on each chord. That's like really important stuff. And also, if you just use chord tones on those chords, you can make like some melody lines like pretty easily. So I can talk more about this topic, but since this isn't about music theory, and let's move on to something else. But the one thing you can remember here is that you have to avoid using minor second of each chord tones, meaning you can't use C sharp, F, or G sharp on C major chords, since those have minor second interval with C, E, and G. I'll play something. So this is C scale, and if you use C sharp on it, it's just gonna sound ugly, right? So if you talk about like tensions, augmented chords, diminished chords, something like that, it's gonna be a whole different story. But now we're just trying to focus on simple triad stuff and diatonic stuff. So yeah, just like remember that. So I also said F on F. You can use F and G sharp because it's conflicting. It's minor second, right? But obviously, you can use a chord like this. But again, let's just move on, and we can talk about this later. So yeah, based on this knowledge and this chord progression, I kind of came up with this melody line that I'm gonna play for you. So this is the melody I came up with. it just simply repeats for another 4 bars. So if I just play those together with the basic chords that I played on piano and also this melody line on electric piano, it's gonna sound like this. So you can come up with melody line like this, just record basic chord progressions and play something on the top of it, right? But I'm a piano player, so this is how I usually create the idea on the piano when I make tracks. So I don't usually separate those two ideas. I just like play on the piano at the same time, and I came up with this. So now I like it. I like it. It's kind of a little bit moody and, slow, just kind of like pop sounding ballad kind of thing. But I feel like I have to make this more interesting. So it's the time for some arranging and orchestration now. I'm not sure what this track will be like yet, but it could be kind of jazz-ish if I put some tensions and use electric piano and bass underneath, and it's gonna sound something like this. I kind of like it, but not really what I like to move forward. So let's just go back to the original piano track. And so I just finished this album with 12 tracks in like pop orchestral genre. So I kind of want to make something like that because I'm still in that kind of mood, and it's easy to make something like that right now. So for those tracks, I used rhythm section instruments like guitars and bass, drums, and also like orchestral instruments like strings, horn, and orchestral percussions. So I kind of want to use them. So yeah, at this point, before you start arranging an orchestration, you have to have an idea about instrumentation that you want to use, right? So now I know what instruments I want to use, so I'll try to use them. So I have these whole tracks. So the next instruments I'm gonna use after piano is bass. That's how I usually do. There's no specific reason, but I just love to do it that way because I want that low and deep sound to support my piano accompaniment. And as you already know, bass guitar usually plays the roots of the chord progressions and also add some variations, make it more interesting. So I want to have that absolute root on downbeats, but also want some simple melodic ideas to make this line somewhat interesting. So this is what I came up with. So if you don't have a good bass VST, it's kind of hard to create realistic sounds like, slide, grace notes and stuff. Unfortunately, this VST, I have this one from Contact J-Bass. This is what I have right now. So in my previous videos, I used to say that I really want to buy Keyscape for my piano. I finally got it. Now it's time to invest some money on bass guitar, I think. But yeah, I tried my best to create some, some stub grace notes and some passing notes here and something like this. Bo-da-da-da. Yeah, some passing notes. So it's not just like playing roots, roots, roots all the time. Um, so and yeah, and here's one good takeaway here. So when you arrange and orchestrate, one thing you really need to remember is that one of the purposes of doing this is to fill in the space. So after this 4-bar chord progression here, if you just simply go back to root, it'll be kind of boring, right? So, and we have this space to fill between those two sections. So I put some bass guitar variation to make this a little bit more interesting. Some kind of grace notes and some howl, like growl sound. Something like that. Brandon. Yeah. Anyway, now we have this nice and deep bass under the track, but I feel like we're missing some rhythmic ideas, right? I try to fill some space with the bass, but that isn't enough. So that's when guitars and drums come in. So, and I added this acoustic guitar strums after that. So this is what I came up with. So if we go back to the idea of filling the space, acoustic guitar does a really good job rhythmically. It was just a simple ballad before, but now there are more interesting stuff here. This simple acoustic guitar rhythm is filling in the emptiness, like rhythmically, makes the track a little bit more engaging, I think. So let's go further and put electric guitar too. Then, like, see what happens. So in my opinion, the tone and different rhythm of electric guitar makes the track better. I'll keep using this for now. So before we move on to the next part, let's just see what notes the electric guitar is playing. So if you see, the first chord is D minor, we know. So play the root and A, which is the fifth, and I move the third to the top. So instead of being here, that was annoying. So I move that third to the top, so which is 10th now, right? So here's another takeaway. So this is a really good way to make some melodic instruments sound fuller. And okay, I'll play these chords on piano so we can actually hear the difference. So the basic just chord triad on this chord progression is going to be like this. And I'm going to move the third to the top. So now which is root, 5th, and 10th, right? Compared to this. So now we are so like for frequency we are filling in more frequencies and it sounds fuller. So it's a really good trick to use when you have this melodic instrument. It literally works with everything, like piano, guitar, even strings and horns, so yeah, try do some experiment, and if you have this simple triad chords, just like move the third to the top and even like move the fifths like octave higher, something like that, and just listen to those. If you like it, you just take it. If you don't like it, you can always just go back to the original idea, right? So now that we have guitars, and I'm probably gonna add some drums or some beats, right? So now it kind of sounds like a simple pop ballad song, although I kind of don't like piano playing the melody lines and it sounds kind of weak. I don't know. So let's see. Let's add some beats first and let's hear this. I know the drums sound awful. I don't usually use this, but yeah, just for the tutorial purpose, and also it's not mixed, so please understand. As you can hear, the bass thing that I did is kind of like popping up, right? Even with other instruments. So yeah, you need to fill in the space to make it more interesting, and also like you give like more chances to this instrument to like be shine. I don't know if there are like real people, real musicians, you're giving them opportunities to make, do something interesting to pop out. Yeah, as I like briefly mentioned, now we have some instruments. I kind of don't want to have piano to play the melody line. So maybe I'm gonna add another instrument that's totally dedicated to play the melody lines. So having piano play it, instead just like have one more instrument to play some melody lines. So what I did was I added another electric guitar, but since we have this electric guitar already, we kind of like fuzzy sound. I kind of wanted to have like simpler, cleaner sound. So I added something like this. Yeah, so if I play them all together. I really like it because it kind of brings like different mood. So it's kind of like a mellow-ish mood that I didn't expect before. So the cool thing about like this MIDI thing is like you can like experiment all the time, right? So I didn't expect this kind of sound in my head, but now I put this guitar, I really like it. And so yeah, it's like the beauty of music production, the beauty of MIDI. So yeah, now we have like this one instrument that's totally dedicated to play melody. I don't want this piano to play the melody lines. I want this piano to do something more interesting. So I re-recorded the piano. Let's hear that. Let's hear the original one first, and then listen to the second one. It's nice but kind of boring. So it's not playing the melody anymore, but it's like playing something else in the chord. So now we have more melodic ideas in the track. So if I play them all together, especially this like eighth note triplet rhythm, that triplet rhythm is not the thing that we've done before. So it makes the track more interesting, I think. So I can just like stop here and just mix and make sound fuller, and I can say like pop music, right? Uh, or we can go even further, and let's say this is a chorus section of this whole orchestral pop track. Then we need strings and some horns and other stuff, right? So I used violin one to play the melody along with the guitar line, because I feel like we're still missing some kind of high frequency. Oh yeah, and I also forgot about this, and that's why I used this too, like to fill in the some high frequency. So I added this harmonic electric guitar. I think it's dead. Not sure what it's not playing. I'll wrote this again. So yeah, I've been using this electric sunburst, which is really cool. And this patch is like kind of harmonic guitar with delays and reverb. Violin playing the melody. So since now we have this violin line, now I feel like we're missing low and mid frequency. So this is why you have to be really careful when you add instruments, because you are trying to fill in like those frequencies, or like some ideas that you think you're missing, but it's already there. You're just not hearing enough because you added like way more stuff on different places. So I really recommend you to keep your original ideas about instrumentation and how you're going to use them, right? So, and I usually use all the strings when I use strings, or I just use one solo strings. And I love that how other string instrument support the melody line that violin one is playing. So I added these other strings to have like fuller sound, and they're just like playing sustain, just like legato melody lines in those chords progressions. So it's like there's nothing fancy, but it sounds fuller, and they're supporting the original melodic idea. After that, what I did was I added a horn to play the counter melody, so which means it's kind of like second melody, but it's not like really fancy enough to be the main melody, but also playing some melodic ideas to like go in a different direction. So when you actually play those together, it sounds really nice, fancy and stuff. And I added some percussions, and I was imagining that this is a chorus section, so I added like kind of like build up that's going into the bigger section. So this is everything. just wanted to show you how I arrange and orchestrate tracks. Obviously, there's like way more to this. Like doubling ideas and which instrument is better for what kind of like melody lines or frequencies, and it also depends on the keys, what kind of key you are using, what kind of chords you're using. There are like a lot of things that you have to think about, and also, but like those are coming from like a lot of times those are coming from like trials and errors and stuff like that. But if you have this knowledge about music theory and orchestration, you can save the time. Something's not going to work, something's going to work. So yeah, that's the orchestration and arranging. And I love how this one simple melodic idea just turns out like to be a big like orchestral music. So yeah, I'll talk about like detailed stuff about like doubling, like the personality of instruments and something like that in a different videos. But yeah, anyway, this is what I got for you guys today. So I hope this helps a little bit. And thank you so much for watching. And yeah, this is it for today. So bye.